I think like a lot of you, I've been adrift lately. And last week I realized for the first time that I knew what it meant to say that I feel as though I'm at sea. And it put me in mind of the disciples out there in their rickety boat with the wind against them, lashed by the storm, afraid, uncertain of what was to come. And Jesus appearing to them, walking across the water, and at first they don't recognize him. They mistake him for a ghost. In Matthew's version, Peter says, "If it's really you, call me out to you," and Jesus does, and Peter walks across the water toward Jesus, only to lose his faith and begin to sink, and Jesus holds him up and says, with what I suspect is some exasperation, "Man of little faith, why did you doubt? Do not be afraid. It is I." That is the message that Jesus brings to these disciples at their most desperate hour. And we put all of our stories, whether they're our personal narratives or the stories we know through Scripture, we put them in neat little buckets to contextualize them for ourselves, sometimes irrespective of their actual context or chronology. And I realize that one of the things I've done with this story is that I've put it in my Easter bucket. Never mind that it comes after the feeding of the 5,000. I have put it firmly in the season of Easter in the way I think about it, and I guess that makes sense. The disciples are adrift and afraid and uncertain of their future, and mistake Jesus for a ghost when he first appears, and we even have that doubter, in this case Peter, who needs a certain sign before he will believe. But Jesus' message is the same. Do not be afraid. My mother used to always say that all those times we hear that in Scripture, that do not be afraid, fear not. And we hear it a lot of times. My mother used to always say, that doesn't mean it's going to be okay. That doesn't mean the person who is sick will get better. It doesn't mean that the problem you have will be resolved in the way that you imagine you would like the problem to be resolved. It means that if you put your faith in Jesus, you do not need to be afraid. The Lord has got this. And that might be the most important message for us right now, when we are buffeted by the storm and the winds are against us. The winds will change and the storm will die down. And in the meantime, we need to lean into our faith, be held up by our faith, and not be afraid.